Hi, so I believe I've discovered the root cause of my psoriasis, and my psoriasis relates to an injury to the skin. That's what I believe. Psoriasis also, what I've discovered, is a secondary effect. The primary effect is something different, and I'll get on to that as well. So, my background, I was diagnosed approximately 20 years ago with psoriasis. It developed on my left wrist. I was just seeing a GP, and I think I went a couple of times, and eventually the diagnosis for psoriasis was given. I was given by a GP, which I think back, you'd have to question because it's quite a niche thing, the skin, so maybe it should have been a dermatologist. But anyway, so I was given emollients, different sort of levels and strengths over the years, eventually getting to like steroid emollients and creams. I bought a UV lamp myself because trying to get stuff through the NHS, and it was all minor improvements, and most of the time it came back more vigorous, and times maybe if you're run down, stressed, things like that, it would flare up, It's related to the immune system, so, but I'm sure you all know that. Anyway, so recently I've noticed I didn't have hair on my hands. I went recently to the GP about my psoriasis was thick on my hand, like really bad. It was just completely caked, and it supposedly fungal nail infections all the way along, which I've been treating with a prescription from the doctor, and done very little. So as a kind of experiment, I thought I would exfoliate the skin to try and get the hair out, and I was taking into consideration high hair flows from top to bottom, and like my hair flow. So if the crown is the source of the hair, you can see mine goes around like that. See, that's natural. It's like a natural wave. So I was keeping that in consideration and just doing that all over, and it improved things. It made an improvement. Took some psoriasis away. Hair was coming out, but this was quite intensive, time consuming, and the progress was minimal. And what I did notice was the hair was going back in. So I thought, well, there's something underlying. And initially I was going down the line of maybe an infection somewhere, because I'm prone to sinus infections. But I think what I've discovered sort of answers that as well. So the infection thing, I got antibiotics from a doctor, but I was thinking over the years I've had these sinus infections, taking antibiotics, it's done nothing, do you know what I mean? So that's not going to be the cause of the psoriasis. So I basically had to go back to when the psoriasis happened, as I say, 20 years ago, and try and think of something that was relatable. And I didn't make this connection at the time because the doctor had sent me on another path, and maybe my understanding of psoriasis was it was purely stress related. So those wee things just sent different tangents, and that's what happened. But about a month before this rash developed on the left wrist, I had a bit of an injury which required the nurse, I can't remember if it was a nurse or a doctor, but when repairing it, so she pulled the skin together from either side and just stitched it up. I recently queried, is that what you would do with a wound that wide? And apparently it is. There's nothing wrong with doing that. But I think where she's went wrong is she didn't shave that area, like either side of the wound first, which I think she should have done. And then she's pulled this section, the lower section, with like a greater percentage from there than there. When, if you think about it, it should be equal. It should be an equal amount of flesh pulled together and stitched up, just to keep a balance in their skin. I don't think that happened, and the fact she didn't shave it, I think, has caused ingrown hairs. Now, I'll maybe try and explain the significance of this, but as I say, my hair goes in that direction. I kind of mapped that all through my body. It's like tinsel on a Christmas tree, or a helter-skelter. It spirals down around all your limbs and out your extremities, like your fingers, toes. That's your hair dissipating grease, grime, bacteria, etc. Your hair is part of your immune system. I think maybe that's worth bearing in mind. So if that hair, as I say, my hair goes around like that, and my hair has a slight wave, so it's like just like that shape, like a hook. And my hair, I don't have much hair on my arm, so it's quite hard to show this. But you can see it kind of goes out like that to the side. Do you see that? See there? It kind of goes over. It's like a side parting for your skin hair, and that's the same all the way down. It's that angle. It goes at that angle. It's just my hair. It's a wave, and people with wavy hair are more susceptible to ingrown hairs for that simple reason. It has a wave, and wavy hair isn't as strong as straight hair. That's why it has a wave. It's a kink. It doesn't have the strength to stay straight. So people with straight hair probably don't get issues like this, or ingrown hairs, because if a piece of straight hair gets stuck under dead skin or anything, it has the strength to grow out. Wavy hair doesn't appear to. But if a whole section of wavy hair is put into there, then this is where things, while maybe minor here, can have a big effect. And I'm feeling those effects sort of 20 years on. So as I say, I think this wound has been pulled too much from the hair. So my hair goes down at this angle, naturally, down and out. What has happened is, when she's pulled that, she's changed the trajectory of down and out, so it's going like round and down. So that's been altered, and the trajectory, not easy to say, of the hair has changed to the point it's, you can kind of actually see this on my skin already. The psoriasis kind of maps what's going on. So if the trajectory has changed, albeit minimal, the hair, not just one hair, lots of hairs are going into that wound. They're going to come up here and they're going to start growing up. Because when you turn, you're going to go straight. It's not going to turn all over the place. It's going to turn at the angle of the wave, but then it's going to straighten. And then it might turn again, but what it's turning into is an obstruction. Now, if you understand how things flow, that's why I was able to get my head around this. My background being in electrical things, so I understand electricity and how it flows. Water and hair and electricity all flow the same. They'll all take the path of least resistance, and if there's an obstruction, they normally go around it. Like if a river is flowing and hits a rock, it'll go around the rock. So if you consider your body hair to be a river flowing, the skin to be maybe the river bed or the earth or whatever, and the joints to be obstructions or rocks. What happens here, so the trajectory changed. Visible again? There. So it's pulled up. Pulled up like that. Trajectory changed from that normal flow there and went like that to my elbow. It's not going to go past there, so that's the rock. There's in between my elbows made of like two parts, so it's taken that valley, it's like a valley between two mountains, it's taken that path there, and I'll come back to it in a wee minute. If you ever learned about Oxbow Lakes in geography, I think it's GCSE geography, an Oxbow Lake is when a river meanders, has it like a river going straight, meanders on a big deviation but comes back on the straight again. If the topography of the ground alters for some reason, I don't know, and where the straight bit and the meander are, if the straight bits get pushed somehow together, it nips off the meander, and the meander becomes a lake. It basically nips in, floods that plain, and that carries on. I don't know if this sort of similarities ever been associated with psoriasis or ingrown hair, and both. So what I'm getting at to this point is my psoriasis, the secondary effect, the ingrown hair, the primary effect of the skin injury. And before we go any further, I know majority of psoriasis is associated with stress, but if you look at conditions of stress and related to hair, like alopecia, people lose hair. If people are able to lose hair through stress, do you think maybe stress could make hair alter its course? Which has happened here. So my hair that went down, let's say call it my primary hair, from my head, the trajectory is altered, comes from my secondary hair and changes course. So I've hair moving in opposite directions from a fault line, I believe anyway. So up it comes here in the valley, and you kind of see it. So see, so hard to see that scar in this light. Right. So it's been pulled round, the hair that flows down and out, trajectory up to there, right, and round. So imagine my river of hair there, and my other relatively straight river of hair there. What your elbow is, what everybody's elbow is a meander. See that? Hair doesn't flow through the elbow, it flows down, maybe that side, that side, that side. All that area is a meander. So the hair, rogue or renegade hair, again, sorry, it's not one hair, it's hers, but this is maybe one path, there might be other paths. I'm just going by sort of the psoriasis kind of leading me there, you know. If your skin gets advice, it's a warning, so mine's mapping out what's wrong, I believe it is anyway. So it's coming up there, and what it's doing is, oh, my apologies, the hairs are coming around that way, coming over my elbow to there, and there's going to be hair coming down as well, so that meander there is just being pulled like that, and it's nipping. Well, it's the hair that's coming down there and the hair that's coming down there. That's an oxbow. So normally the hair was all going in one direction. Now there's one coming in another direction, and it's pulled in the meander and taken it out, nipped it out. And what happens in the oxbow lake is the water floods. So the hair is now coming down here, and those two, it's still the same hair from my head, but in different directions, have joined up to make a river, rather than a meandering river. They're making a straight river. This has been isolated as an oxbow lake, And if water floods, what happens here is her floods. So if you imagine it's like a knot of her, but like a shoelace when you tie a bow in a shoelace. So you've your two strands and you pull it, but you leave a big bow. And that's what's happening there. And that'll just fill with her. Then her will go like that and flood basically, but in the same sort of direction. It'll just flood, 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 and that sort of circular motion until it's full. So that's the her, right? And if it's the primary effect, the secondary effect is her. Now, I'm not too sure about this, but the way I would sort of understand it is areas of your body which have her need more skin than areas that don't have her. You know, if you think of like your head, some people get dandruff and all, it's very common. You're more likely to shed skin that's within her. You know, everybody knows that. So if that area there, this new lake of her, didn't need, only needed a certain amount of her before, because it was a hairless skin before, that was a hairless area, it's now a hairy area, it's going to need more skin. So your body is identifying that, saying there's something not right. Well, maybe it's not saying it's something right, it's categorising that as a haired area, and it's sending more skin. And that's what psoriasis is. You know, it's an increase of skin cells overlapping. But that's why, because there's hair where there wasn't hair before. And I think, to me, that makes perfect sense. And the Oxbow Lake is taken from geography. You can see the shape of it. That is an Oxbow Lake. The ingrown hair has changed. The primary hair has changed trajectory to create two paths of the same hair. You know, all your hair should flow top to bottom. I have hair flowing up. I can see it on my arms now. I have very little hair left in my arms. That's really difficult to see, you know, and it's fur as well, so it doesn't help. But that's where I first see it, and I'll take it there now. So the Oxbow Lake has been created. The hairs went over there and met the hair coming down, and they've joined together and cut that off. Flooded and not really, it doesn't cut it off, that's what I'm saying. It's like a shoelace bow. A shoelace bow still has other strands of lace. So that's what's happened there. It's like a loose knot. So it's created a loose knot with the hair coming that way. And the way it will create a loose knot, this is again the way I've come to the conclusion is, if the hair is waved like that, and the other one's sort of waved, but in an opposite direction, if it just sort of clips the edge of the hair, that's a loose knot. You know, you can see that's loose. But there's something else that happens to me that's rather than I don't get psoriasis, I get something else, and I'll show you that as well. So the hairs come up there, nipped, and the two hairs are went straight. And look, so the two hairs are went like a river, a straight river. So you look there to there. Let's just look at that's just the new straight river, and the psoriasis is showing it. It's mapping out what's going on, partially. Like it's not continuous. Like it probably is going continuously on down, but it's only showing a part of it. So it shows you the whole lake and part of the straight river, which you can see is in a perfect line, albeit in the curvature of an arm. So it's going to go like that, and then so they're coming down like that. That's probably going around like that and back down. Yeah, because that has a natural slope. So this is the thing. You have to map your body, and you can feel the curves, and you know where hair can flow and where it can't. It'll flow over, it'll always try and go downhill, path of least resistance. So if there's even a part of your arm that slopes, that's why my hair, the normal hair slopes down and out like that. So I come over there, nip that off the 2 rivers, well the 1 river, round like that, and back down there. Sorry, back down there to here, and then this is where I maybe develop other problems. So I have hair, and it's not just one strand, there's probably several things, several ones have done the same sort of journey. So you've maybe several rivers of hair. So again here, what's happened is it flows to a point there, right, and it creates like a junction. And maybe your normal hair then coming down, normal hair coming down that side and that side, and it's contributing to this junction, and that's basically making this again an oxbow look. I don't know if it's 1, 2 or many sort of connecting rivers of hair that are doing this, but it's basically hair in different directions, or tan together. Right, up here, that's a loose knot. Here, the oxbow lake, that's a loose knot. So actually the oxbow lake is probably formed just from her coming down there and her there, and nipping there and flooding. Okay. Now of course there's loads of rivers here, so, and the oxbow lake is from a loose knot. This is something that's happened to me, and it's creating other health sort of implications. With 20 years down the line, I'm noticing physical sort of pains, and all these small things accumulate into something bigger, a bigger picture, which is definitely affecting my health. But so what's happened here, I believe, is her in different directions, so have come at a sort of perfect timing, right? So if you imagine they've come like that, perfect timing, they're going to lack at a hunt. Like if the oxbow lake was maybe a fifth of a grip, tip to tip, this time it's coming and it's getting root to root, and it's forming a tight knot. I thought these were calluses, but I have a hard lump there, and like I don't even know how to explain these. Hard lump there, and they're in different positions because that finger has it down there, that's up there and that one, up there and that one, up there and that one. So that's like 1, 2, 3, 7 knots at my hand that I've discovered. Could be more. So what's going to happen with the knots now? The oxbow lake's alright because, well, it's not alright. It's developing the psoriasis, which is a flood of hair, which is telling the brain to send more skin because her areas need more skin. At the tighter knots, what's happening is they are pulling the skin. That's wound so tight that some hair gets by, but some wraps. And I have bigger lumps in that. I have one in the centre of my chest, and obviously it must be tighter, like the tightest you can get, because nothing's getting by. It's just growing. The lump is growing. So the lumps down here are spread across the whole hand, whereas in the chest, which kind of makes sense, was all your hair centres around your chest. You know, it's like the centre of your body, so you're going to have hair coming, your normal hair is meant to come down, all flowing around your chest, like, but down. I have hair coming up, like you can see it in my beard. I have a clash of hair there. Let this light again. It's quite hard to see. Oh, you can see it on that side. Oh, well, yeah, this side shows it perfectly well. So there's hair coming up. Like, that hair is growing up. You know what I mean? It actually grows up through that flesh area. There's maybe 3 big strands. My mole has a big hair growing up. Do you know what I mean? The root is below the tip. That's not right. I've had it, when I send out about sort of exfoliating to get the ingrown hairs out. For years I've had ingrown hairs all around my neck. Like, and I can't get them out. And I think because they're knotted. So you've hair coming up here now. This probably at this junction down here happened. When it originally came down like that. Remember the trajectory changed, hit the elbow, it changed course, but it came back down. It's part of that river. When it's hitting this wee sort of, it's nearly like a roundabout now of hair and going back up. And it's not one hair, it's maybe several. And that's where that starts, because I can see the fur hairs going all the way up there and they come in here. And they get more, obviously, they get coarser there because you're shaving and things like that. But you can see those hairs are coming up the way, like that. And my normal hair root, you can see my hair curves around like that, down, goes like that, down and on my chin, because that's what it's meant to do. It's meant to go along your sort of your bone structures and take the junk out of your body. What's happening to me? Your body, everybody's body from before birth is genetically set based on maybe your hair and how it flows. So what I have, maybe a lot of people won't have, is big bony lumps behind my ears. That's believe it or not, that's normal because I have a wavy hair. My dad has it. I think, well, I don't know, but I would sort of guess with very good reason that people with a wave in their hair will have this bone structure. Because if my normal hair is going down like that, it's coming down there and bypassing your ear, but it's meant to be. And it's going around that sort of motion, bypassing but and coming down there, what it's meant to be. And it's meant to hit that sort of bony area and channel the hair down there. Because hair's greasy, you know, it's taking that sort of grease away. What's happening here is this clash of hairs is forming an oxbow lake there. See that? I can't get that out of that ingrown hair. So it's, albeit it's a loose knot, it's way in there, you know. This is then going up, and I don't know if you can notice the hair growing up. Look at that, up my ear. Right? And what it's done is wrapped around on its own. So that, say it was the first sort of entrance was there into my ear, and what it done was it slightly pulled my ear, changed the sort of the setting of my ear, position, sorry, of my ear, and obviously what's going to happen then is the normal hair going down is going to hit the new position of the ear, and I have this now, sort of hack that do not heal where the hair goes in. So now I have hair going up into the ear, wrapping around from the bottom and from the top, just wrapping around, and my ears changed shape dramatically. Like they were pinned by head a year ago, and this exfoliation has brought them down, but I'm never going to get it out. I can't get it out because it's wrapping around two directions. So if I try and take it out in one direction, I'm only taking out one course of hair, one root of hair. Do you know what I mean? The same hair, but direction. Only taking out one direction of hair, and while I'm doing that, I'm pulling more in the other direction. It's you can't. It's an endless battle. You can't win until the root cause gets remedied, and I'm waiting on dermatology to see if I can get that done. So that was the calluses. I've explained the psoriasis. I think to me it makes sense, you know, and with regards to the ingrown hair being the primary, psoriasis then being a secondary because hard areas need more skin. And I'd say I believe that maybe has an association with the stress, psoriasis as well, because stress can cause weird things to hair. You know, people with alopecia can confirm that. Like so. I'll get back to the causes. This may be the last thing, because this area from here to here is a snippet of what's going on in my whole body. You know, and you imagine that sort of over 20 years, right? All those wee things repeated around my body. Those callus, those nuts are at all my joints. The oxbow lakes are around my knees. All that cumulative effect is having a big impact. The skin is just, the psoriasis just maybe goes and fades and increases slightly. If I get a new cut, I get a bit of psoriasis around it because the hair's growing all around the place. These things I'm maybe more concerned about because they are pulling my skin around in the same direction. You know, there's a kink in my arm. This is really difficult to show. So my arm, everybody's arm is supposed to be flat. They're like, look, that's where my arm folds. But look where my hand position is, and that's, to me, that's me putting my arm straight. See that? Do you see that sort of curve, like that? This is the most severe part of my body. But if you imagine that, as it goes, say again, they put the tinsel on the tree, it goes all around. So that is gradually, all these calluses, all these knots have sort of over 20 years gradually pulled my skin. You can see even the kinks in my hand. Like, I'm sort of comparing this with a family member, my mum, and she has a kink there as well. She's 60 and I have more than her, do you know what I mean? So everybody maybe has a natural sort of twist as they get older. It's gravity, you know, it's going to pull you down, but you don't get pulled down straight, you get pulled down around. So while they might have a kink, they'll have it on both sides and balanced. Mine is not. I have more kinks, and in my opinion, way more twist, like on this side than the other side. Like my arm is not straight. Look at that. My arm now is physically changed. My shoulder height is lower on this side. Like, it's really clear. I think the nose one is mad, freaky. Like it's. And all these things accumulate, but my nose, you can see kind of maybe, it's hard not to look at that camera while you're doing that. So my eye is inset, is more sunk in on that side, because I have this sort of wee lesion. I forgot to mention the lesions. If I have either knots or calluses or lesions. I think lesions were knots that have been stretched so much of tore. But I've had this lesion for a long time, and I thought it was like maybe a big spot that I picked and it didn't heal properly. But I have no nose hair. I'm 41 years old. I do not get nose hair growing out. That's bizarre, you know. I didn't notice all these things until, it's amazing how, because they're so slow, the changes, you don't notice them until bigger things start happening, and then you kind of go back through it. That's why I'm saying, like my background in electrical, I know how to do that. I know how to get from a sort of an outcome to a root cause and fault find. It comes natural, and I find it easy. I didn't notice the 20 years down the line, but my nose curves like that. Look, I don't know if you can see it there. I got my fingers up. Look, they go off like that. My nose is curved around, and it's all the same curve or kink, skew throughout my body, and it's all the same direction. It's more severe in this side because it starts on that side. So if you imagine I'm being twisted down like that, as if like a helter-skelter in that direction, and that's the pain that I feel. Like I have back pain all the time, but it's not conventional back pain where people have it in their lower back. It's in like the centre of my back because my back is being pulled round like that. I've misshapen parts, like I've said about the way my ears were sort of fused to my head. My belly, like the very bottom of my belly was fused to the top of my groin. I didn't even notice. You don't notice because, as I say, it's so gradual. You think that's just your shape, but I had like a bit of a belly, and I didn't drink for a while. I couldn't get rid of it, and then as if I exfoliated and got a lot of this loose, some of these sort of fusions have come apart. So these are, all from these wee things, but they're all over, and they're all doing the same thing. They're all twisting me. If I don't know if it's clear, but if I follow the sort of kinks in my hand, look, see those kinks? They all go to a knot. So these hairs are knotting, and they're just turning. So that's just like imagine a knot on a bed sheet, and you turn the knot. It'll pull the bed sheet in that direction, and you'll have like a cascading of bed sheet. My skin cascades in that direction, skews, and that repeats. So it starts there and it goes round like a helter-skelter, up, down, like everywhere. But it's more severe on that side, so I'm getting that pulled. So that's sort of the conclusions I've come to. I'm still waiting to see a dermatologist. I've been on waiting list for 2 years. I recently went to doctors, went to A&E and tried to explain this, and I thought they simply, I don't know if, I went to my own GP, and because it's skin and it's niche and they're not experts, they don't know. But the thing about it is a lot of them won't give you the time to sit and listen, because maybe I think some of it's a bit of sort of they're a bit dismissive, as if, well, who do know about sort of medical issues. But at the end of the day, I know my own body, and because of my background and sort of fault finding and sort of logical thinking of how something came about, I think I'm on to something. So as I say, I'm on a waiting list still on a waiting list. I've tried to push it. That's why I went to A&E, because I was having weird sensations in my chest, my back, my shoulder, even like my stomach. I'm having stomach problems because I think it's being twisted, and having strange toilet habits, like darker urine and all things like that. So all these wee things after 20 years are having a bit of a big impact on me. So I'm trying to push it, and hopefully I get there. And when I get the dermatologist, I'll try and explain all this again. This is maybe part of the reason for the video, but I don't know if anybody has psoriasis and they want to just sit down and take the time and try and map out what's going on, and take into consideration oxbow lakes, ingrown hairs. I think they'll maybe come to the same conclusions as me. Hope so anyway, so thanks for listening. Bye bye.